Okay, great. So I want to talk about wading in and 5 themes that keep coming up as we talk about censors and journalism. But first, I guess how I waded in, it actually started with a question or a problem I had, which was, what's the air like in my community? What is my daughter breathing? And the closest EPA sensor, God bless them, was 2 miles away. So huge data gap, didn't reflect what I really needed to know. So I started talking to scientists, starting with a geochemist here at Columbia, met folks in the open community, the air quality ag, and it was invigorating. There was this new stage of data where if the data we needed didn't exist, we could make it. And we were going to be able to solve all kinds of problems, I thought. New opportunities coming for journalism. One, to do more of the kinds of stories we already do. And the second opportunity, the kind of thing we see in civic media where groups are solving the problems that journalism solves, but they're doing it without reporting. So a couple of points to hit. One is that we need to get out of the house more. We need to go find these people because a ton of innovation is happening in open data. It's happening in hacker communities and citizen science. And we can help them. We can learn from them. We can give them some credibility. We can use them, help them recruit. I think that second opportunity is actually going to be filled by again, some of these platforms that look like civic media. They're networked accountability platforms that provide information at scale, and we'll be able to use their data too. So second thing we need to do and think about is work with communities and think about collaboration. First with the people that buy our tote bags and want to do more, but we don't have anything else for them to do. And the Air Quality Ag kind of nailed this. It was a community designed project. One of the things you can do with community is that if you can make big issues local, you can make people care about them. In Chicago, actually, the city offered to give us public land to deploy the sensors, but the EGGS model was people. They wanted adopters. They wanted people to come in and really evangelize this thing and own it. The cicada tracker did this too. Community was baked in from the very beginning. It was accessible. It was fun. Participation was what it was all about. We also need to work on our relationship with the government. Sometimes we FOIA them. Sometimes they subpoena us. But they've still got great data. We're going to still use it. And we have to understand that they understand this too, that our data is going to complement their data. It fills out the picture. We need to have a serious conversation about privacy and ethics too. So people don't want to be tracked because their data could be used to discriminate against them or embarrass them. This happens to journalists too. The 2 most exciting censor stories of the last year were unintentional. So Tesla debunked a New York Times story with censor data. And then finally, Vice magazine outed the guy they were following. They gave his location away. So how do we protect the people that we're supposed to be helping and not hurt them? How do we avoid hurting them? We have ethics guidelines that kind of apply that are analog, but the problem is that the data is coming from unexpected places and so quickly that we can't respond yet. So we need to think about that. How do we protect ourselves and our communities? I do a lot of talks with Alex Howard, and he likes to talk about who owns the data. This is the question of the 21st century, because just because you bought a sensor doesn't mean you have the rights to the data that it's capturing. There's a lot of off-the-shelf stuff coming. There's a lot more public data we're going to want to use in smart cities, and we need to make sure that we have access to that data and that we have the ability to use it. Finally, we need to think more about software. We need to double down on what we're already doing. We need data scientists, we need developers, but above all, we need people who understand how to use that and tell stories, because you can do a lot of interesting things. For example, I may have put a sensor on the candy dish at NPR that when you come up to it, not only logs what time you're grabbing the candy, but throws a feedback loop at you. Clippy comes up and puts out NPR content on nutrition, just to kind of make you feel bad about what you're doing. But the question is that valuable? And good storytellers don't just use the data we have, because some of the data that's easy to get is worthless. Does anybody care about the data? Does it solve a meaningful problem? That's what we have to ask ourselves. Brian Boyer, I asked him yesterday, because he does this better than anybody I know. I asked him about the choices he makes. Sometimes, he said, sometimes the data is actually more important than any visual you can put out. Simple app that displays the real data with a photo, but sometimes it speaks for itself. And this is what great storytellers do. They understand that difference. we need data science. If we're going to be using raw data that's not already standardized and validated and regressed, we've got to understand how directional it is. We don't have this capability now. It's a huge one. Finally, we need to share our data. We share small data sets, we share code, we share documents. But we don't have, Xively's not going to be it because they're going commercial. We need a data source that's not going to go away, that's going to allow one city project to work with another city project, and we need this platform that can crunch large data sets across each other. I'm excited to talk to you guys today, and let's eat.